All right, here is your speed round of your vertebrate life cycle review. We're going to quickly review everything that we've learned this week, and then I'm going to give you your Kahoot quiz link and code so you can do your check-in. So let's do a quick review. Remember that animals are living things because they grow, have cells, have babies, they breathe and need air, they move and they need food, and that all animals need air, water, food, and groups. We can classify animals into two groups, which is vertebrates, they have a backbone, and invertebrates, which do not have a backbone. Definitely remember that vertebrates have a backbone and that invertebrates do not have a backbone. That's an important information to remember. So animals can also be classified by their diets into three categories. So we have carnivores, which are animals that only eat meat, herbivores, which are animals that only eat plants, and omnivores, which are animals that eat plants and meat. They eat everything. So remember that as well. Carnivores eat meat, herbivores eat plants, and omnivores eat everything. Each type of vertebrate has a different life cycle, but they all share the same 4 steps. So remember that they all start at birth, then they grow, they reproduce or have babies of their own, and then they will die after they've had babies when they're very old. Okay, so birth, growth, reproduction, or they have babies, and death. What are vertebrates? And they are amphibians, reptiles, birds, fish, and mammals. And we're going to focus on what each of those are. So remember that amphibians, they live the first part of their lives in the water and the last part on land, and that the word amphibian means 2 lives, which is one in the water and one on land. All amphibians have gills. Most amphibians have thin, moist skin that helps them breathe. Amphibians are cold-blooded. Most of them like to live in or near water and in damp areas. And that examples of amphibians are frogs, toads, salamanders, and newts. Okay, we're moving on to reptiles. So remember that reptiles are cold-blooded. Most reptiles lay eggs and their skin is covered with hard, dry scales. Reptiles can be found on every continent except for Antarctica, and that reptiles are animals like snakes, crocodiles, alligators, turtles, and lizards. Okay? Birds are the only animals that have feathers. That is very important to remember because birds are the only animals that have feathers. Remember that. Birds also lay eggs. Birds are warm-blooded. They have wings and hollow bones, but even though they have wings, not all birds can fly. So the important thing to remember on this page is that birds are the only animals that have feathers. What are fish? So fish live and breathe in water. Fish breathe through gills and have fins and scales. That's very important to know that fish breathe through gills and have fins and scales. So it's important to know that fish have gills, fins, and scales. Fish are cold-blooded. There are 32,000 different species of fish. And remember that whales and dolphins are not fish. That's another important thing. So there's 2 important things to remember on here. That fish have gills, fins, and scales. And that whales and dolphins are not fish. Okay, mammals. Mammals are the only animals that give milk to their babies. That's very important. So mammals are the only animals that give milk to their babies. Mammals are warm-blooded. Most mammals give birth to live babies, which means they do not lay eggs. All mammals have fur or hair. That's also important. All mammals have fur or hair. And examples of mammals are bears, whales, elephants, and horses. Okay? But remember that mammals are confusing. So marsupials are mammals that carry their young in a pouch. That you should remember. That marsupials are mammals that carry their young in a pouch. Egg-laying mammals, there are some, and one of them is the platypus. So the platypus lays eggs. Remember that. The platypus lays eggs. So let's quickly review some of the important life cycles. So we have the life cycle of a toad, and remember that it goes eggs to tadpole to toadlet. Remember that the child/teenager name for a frog or a toad is called a toadlet, and then it goes from toad. So eggs to tadpole to toadlet to toad. And then we're moving on to frogs. So from the frogs, the adult frogs lay the eggs, then they become a tadpole, or my favorite word, polywog. You probably need to know that a tadpole, another word for tadpole is called polywog, just a little hint. And then they have tadpoles, they grow legs, the back legs come first, then they have the front legs, and then they become a froglet, and then an adult. So the important things to know on this page is that the adult frog will lay. So it goes eggs to tadpole to froglet to adults, and the toad, eggs, tadpole, toadlet to toad. Okay? But polywog is an important word for you to remember. So polywog is the same word, it means the same as tadpoles. So we're moving on to reptiles. So a life cycle of a snake. So remember, the adult snake lays the eggs hatch, and the baby snake breaks out by using a special egg tooth. So they have a special tooth that breaks them out of their egg. Okay, and then they grow up into a baby, so then they become a baby snake, and then the adult snake again, so they grow up. So the adult snake lays the eggs hatch, the baby snake breaks out by using a special tooth, that is important, and then they grow up into the adults. Okay, then we have a sea turtle. So we have the adult sea turtle lays their eggs at night on a beach. This is important. The adult sea turtle lays their eggs at night on a beach. Okay, then they have the eggs hatch, and then we have the baby turtle, which walks into sea, and then it grows up to be an adult. We have the life cycle of the emperor penguin as we move on to birds. Okay, so the penguin, the adult penguin, the mummy penguin lays the egg, and then the mom and dad both take care of it, but it's mostly the dad that looks after the egg. Now, what's important on this page is that eggs normally hatch 65 to 75 days after they are laid. So it takes 65 to 75 days for eggs to hatch. That is important. Okay, and then the chicks stay in their little brood pouch is what it's called, which is on their feet, so they can stay warm, and then they grow up. The life cycle of a chicken, basically all you need to know, the adult lays the egg, so it goes egg, chick, adult, egg, chick, adult. Adult lays the egg hatches into the chick grows up to become an adult, so egg, chick, adult. For the life cycle of a salmon, okay, that's as we move on to fish. The important things to know here is that salmon eggs are laid in rivers, and that's really important. So they're not laid in the ocean, they're only laid in rivers. Okay? And then the eggs hatch into alvin. The alvin are the little fish with the egg yolks. And then we have, once they use or lose the little yolk sac that's around their neck there, they become fries, and then they become adults. And then they swim up to the river and they lay their eggs in the river. Life cycle of a shark. Remember that there are 3 different ways that sharks have babies. So there are 3 different ways that sharks have babies. The first way is that some sharks do lay eggs. The second is that some sharks give birth to live young. And then the third way is that the eggs are kept inside the mom's body until the eggs are hatched. So the eggs hatch inside the mom's body. So those are the 3 ways that sharks have babies. And there's the picture there for you. So the adult shark with the eggs, and then this is the one where the eggs are kept inside the mom's body until they're hatched. Okay, so and then they have the newborn, and then the youth shark. So basically, once they're hatched, they come up and they're fully formed baby sharks, basically. But there are 3 ways that sharks have babies. You just really need to know that there are 3 ways that sharks have babies. You don't even have to know what the ways are, just that there are 3. Okay, then we have mammals. So we have the mommy kangaroo that gives birth to a baby kangaroo after only 1 month. The baby kangaroo is called a joey. Important. Baby kangaroo is called a joey. So joey lives in the mother's pouch, and remember that a kangaroo is a marsupial, so it's one of the mammals where they have babies in the pouch, okay? And then it becomes an adult kangaroo. So the baby kangaroo is called a joey. Then we have the life cycle of a whale. So basically this is pretty easy. The mommy whale gives birth to the baby whale after having them in their tummy, and the baby whale drinks milk for 3 years. 3 years. That's important to know. So baby whales, which is called a calf, drinks milk for 3 years. Then they become an adult, and then they have babies of their own. But for 3 years, they drink milk. All right, so that's all of the information. Everything that you need to know for the Kahoot quiz is on one of these slides here, okay? You will have between 30 seconds to answer. If it's a true or false question, you have 30 seconds, so because you just have to choose true or false. And you have time to read the question before as well. For the questions with 4 choices, you have 1 minute to answer, okay? Make sure that you have the Kahoot app downloaded on your phone or an iPad device, okay? It does not work on a laptop, and when you put in the code, which is down here, let me just highlight that for you. So this is your Kahoot quiz pin code. So you just have to put that in. When you put that in, please write your first name, your last name initial, and your class. So for example, for me, I would write Miss K 3A, just so I know who is doing it, because all of the other classes will be doing it too. So I need to know who you are, and some of us have the same first name, so that's why you need to know your last name. But just your last name initial would be useful, and then what class you are in. So if you're in 3A, 3B, 3C, or 3D, just make sure that you write that down. Otherwise, I won't know who it is, and I won't know what your result is, so I won't know who the winner is, okay? Remember, you can only do it once, so please, once you finish it, don't go back and do it again to see if you can get a better score. You will be able to continue to answer the questions that you got wrong until you get them right. So you will get 100% on this, but I don't want you to try again to see if you can get a higher score. I just want you to try just once, okay? And remember, you need to do it by yourself. Mom and Dad can help you set it up, but I want you to read the questions by yourself and answer them by yourself, okay? If you have any questions, please let me know. And I'm looking forward to seeing your results. You have until Sunday morning to complete the Kahoots. So hopefully you will all do awesome at it. The questions, like I said, all of the answers are in this video that we just talked about. So even if you want to review the video a few times before you go in and do the quiz, you can do that. And if you've been watching the videos all week, then you probably don't have to do much practice, okay? Just remember the important word pollywog, which is a tadpole. Pollywog. All right, good luck.